The purpose of this presentation is to teach people how to be happy. So when we talk about happiness, we want to look at what's preventing people from being happy. For a lot of people, it's stress because it lowers our awareness and it keeps us from being here now in the moment. What you'll learn to find is that happiness is usually right here if we can really get to being here. But so much of our time, we're either living in the past or living in the future. We're not here. We're not mindful. We're not in this moment. So what we're going to look at is how feelings of depression and anxiety and these different things are all kind of wrapped up together. And when we start removing those or changing the way we think so we're no longer reacting in that way, that what's left is this very positive feeling where we feel connected, where we feel enthusiastic about life again. Stress will kill you. It's that simple. Anybody who's ever experienced stress knows that it can be crippling, that we feel it in our bodies. And we actually know that it attacks our organs, that cortisol starts flowing through our body, and it's really unhealthy. Not only that, it increases our chances for stroke or heart attack. So a big part of this process is going to be to learn how to relax, how to get rid of your stress, how to calm yourself down. As we start going over this, I want you to start becoming aware of your body and the sensations that you're feeling in your body. You see, sometimes our body tells us something before it registers to our mind. If I'm having trouble at work, maybe I'll feel stress in my neck, or I start gritting my teeth and I start feeling a tightness in my jaw. Some people, their stomach's their target organ. When they start getting upset, they're feeling something in their stomach. So I want you to start shifting your awareness to your body. Get out of your mind for a little while and really ground yourself into your body, because sometimes your body's communicating to you and it's sending you a message that your mind hasn't picked up yet. What I'm going to be teaching you is a thing called metacognition. It's not that complicated. A cognition is a thought, and metacognition means thinking about our thinking. See, a lot of times our minds are just running and running and running, and we're just going along with whatever our mind is spilling out. In metacognition, who I am, who Mark is, stops for a moment and he looks at his thoughts. And then he has control over his thoughts. He can say, I agree with that thought, or I don't agree with that thought. It's taking one step back and looking at your actual thoughts rather than just going with whatever thought comes into your head and just running with it. This is also known as awareness. Now, the thing about awareness is my awareness can go from being here, now, in this moment, to unconscious. And there's kind of a side note there that even when we're unconscious, certain parts of our brain can be very aware. When I run these seminars, I suggest to people that they should wake up 2 minutes before their alarm goes off. And for about a third to half of the audience, they raise their hand the next day saying they were able to do it with just that simple suggestion. This means two things: that there's a part of our brain that's always aware, it's always conscious, and it has a really good sense of time. Amazing, right? So our awareness goes from being here now in the moment to unconscious. But most of us are going at a lower state in between. So in other words, we're not really here, we're not unconscious, but we're down here and we're running on automatic. And I'm going to explain at length what automatic is and how most of us are running on automatic most of the time, only we're unaware of it. And in fact, we're unaware that we're unaware of it, if that makes any sense. One of the biggest obstacles to happiness is stress. And the reason it's such an obstacle is it lowers our awareness. And once our awareness is lowered, we just start reacting however we've been programmed by our past. We've all been wired by our past, the good things and the bad things. So when we're at a lower level of awareness, we just fall back on our old programming. We don't have a choice anymore. We're just reacting however we were wired to react. So, stress. It manifests in many different ways. Stress can make us angry. We start losing it much quicker than we want to. We go from 0 to 60. There's an interesting study they did where they would shock a mouse, and the mouse wouldn't know where the shock was coming from. And it would run over and it would bite another mouse in the cage. See, part of our brain, our prehistoric part of our brain, the brain stem, is very similar to all these other animals like a mouse, a dog, etc. And it reacts the exact same way. We have a very primitive way of trying to get rid of our stress by taking it out on other people. To be happy, we want to learn how to control our stress. And an important part of that is understanding what causes stress and where's the stress coming from. When we look at the brain, we find there's a part called the amygdala. And the amygdala is in charge of this response called the fight-flight response. Now, the fight-flight response is a perfectly good response. It's been there for hundreds of thousands of years, and it's helped us survive as a species. See, if you saw an alligator or a lion eating your friend, and your amygdala got activated, adrenaline starts flowing through your body, which starts your heart beating harder. All your blood goes to your legs and your arms, so you can either run faster or grab something and hit this and kill this animal, fight it off. The fight-flight response, get it? So it's a perfectly good response, has kept us alive for hundreds of thousands of years. However, I don't know about your neighborhood, but there's not too many alligators or lions walking around my neighborhood. So what's happening is my amygdala, my fight-flight response, is getting activated by things that aren't actually a threat to my survival. Like someone questioning my opinion. Are you sure? What do you mean, am I sure? I start sweating, my heart starts beating. I feel my awareness lowering. Now I start to react. What do you mean? I said, right? A lot of times what's happening is we're becoming stressed because this perfectly good fight-flight response is being triggered for something that's really not a threat to our survival. But we're interpreting it as a threat to our survival. Now, once we have this fight-flight response, there's another part of the brain called the hippocampus. What it does is it's supposed to reset the amygdala. So after this fearful threat to our survival has happened, it resets it and we go back to being relaxed, calm. We go back to being centered. We go back to our normal self. So what's interesting is when they do these functional MRIs of people's brains who are under chronic stress, what they notice is this hippocampus isn't working the way it should. In other words, nothing is resetting the amygdala, so we go back to being relaxed. So what happens is we start going from 0 to 60. We go from here to here because we never really shut off the fight-flight response. We're still here in our head. So what we want to do, part of this process, part of how to transform your mood into a happy mood, is to help strengthening that hippocampus so it really shuts off that amygdala, so we can really relax. Because once we can really relax, then we can be more here again. And when we're here, we have more influence on how we wire our brain. So a lot of us aren't able to shut off this amygdala. And this is when we use terms like, I'm just feeling burnt out. Because we're constantly feeling this grind, this Part of this process is we're going to teach you some different techniques so you can really shut off the amygdala, so you can really start to relax, become more present in your life. First, I'd like you to understand that we all have a boiling point. We all have a point where we can't take it anymore and we snap. And no one's perfect. And Lord knows I've lost my temper. Controlling our mood is like a pot of boiling water. Have you ever watched a pot of water boil? Yeah, I have an interesting life too. If you've ever watched a pot of water boil, you realize it doesn't just boil. First one bubble comes up, and then another bubble comes up, and then another, and then all of a sudden you get this rapid boil. Well, that's how it is with our mind and things triggering the amygdala. Like first, when I have to remember, I got to do this after work, and I got to do that, and that guy just cut me off on my way here, and now I get 3 demands at work. Is this done? Is that done? And then I can't take it anymore. I start freaking out. I hit my panic attack, or I hit my stress limit, or I hit my anger limit. It's because all these things are hitting me and they become accumulative. When we want to start having control so that we can be happy, as each event comes up, we have to handle it so that they stop becoming accumulative. So this thought is, as that thought comes into my mind, I handle it. I restructure that thought. Then I can let it go. And then when another thought comes up, I restructure that thought so I can let it go. So part of this process of truly being happy is understanding how to restructure your thoughts. The technical term for this is called cognitive restructuring. Again, a cognition means thought. So thought restructuring. And it's been shown to be the most effective treatment for depression, bar none. And the reason that it's so effective is not only does it get the job done, but it can switch somebody's mood instantly. Instantly. See, as soon as we change our thoughts, we change our feelings. In order to be truly happy, we have to learn how to control our stress. Now, this first technique has been around for thousands of years. It's a breathing technique. What happens is, during our waking state, we breathe up here in our chest. But if you breathe down here into your diaphragm, and hold it, and let it out slowly. And we do this several times. What happens is it creates this relaxation response. My heart will start slowing down. My blood pressure will drop. Maybe my muscles in my shoulder will go from up here to down here. My vocal cords will loosen up, so my pitch of my voice will start to lower. So this is a skill set. The more we do it, the better we get at it. So we're going to do this in a second, but let me explain a little more about how it works. Remember that brain stem we were talking about? It's in charge of regulating breath and heartbeat and all of that. Now, it's not very smart. The smart part is up here, this part of our brain. This part is a very important part because it's controlling everything. But again, it's not that smart. If you've ever slept next to someone and you've listened to their breath, they aren't going, they're going. When we mimic the breath that we have when we're asleep, this part of the brain goes, oh, we're going to sleep. So it starts relaxing the various parts of our body. So I'd like you to try this with me now. We're just going to stop everything you're doing. You're going to put your hands on your diaphragm. You're going to take a slow breath in for 5. You're going to hold it for 5. And you're going to let it out for 7. And we're going to do this 3 times. And then we're going to just go back to our normal breathing. I'll make a sound when I breathe so that you can mimic my inhalation and my exhalation. But by me making a sound, it doesn't make me breathe any deeper. So the good thing about that is you can use this anytime, anywhere, and no one even knows you're doing it. So ready? Let's go in. Now just breathe normally. And relax. Now this is a skill set. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. It's that simple. As you get better at relaxing, we're going to link it more and more with these low, deep breaths so that you become an expert at relaxing, where all you have to do is take a few low, deep breaths, and you're going to trigger that response again, where you go into this very deep, relaxed state. See, the goal of all of this is simple. I want you to be an expert at relaxing. Why? Because you can't be stressed and relaxed at the same time. They're contradictory states of being. So I'm going to teach you to be an expert at being cool as a cucumber, just shutting it down, just letting it go and relaxing. And part of that is remembering to do this breathing. So you're in your car, you stop at a red light, breathe. A commercial comes on TV or on your computer, breathe. We have to start making this a habit. And the more you immerse yourself into this calmer state, the quicker it becomes your natural state of being. The first step in being happy is to be naturally relaxed so you can be more present in your life. So let's understand stress. To believe that you're going to ever have a stress-free life is impossible. We have stress in our lives. There's good stress and bad stress. With good stress, we have a sense of control. It's like we have a deadline and we know we're going to make it in time. So it gives us a feeling of enthusiasm, motivation, accomplishment. And then we have bad stress. We feel overwhelmed. We feel helpless, like a big wave hitting us, and we get up and another big wave's hitting us, and another big wave is hitting us. Now, I've done these seminars, and I can remember I did one for a group of women, and I asked them, I said, what's a good stress? And they said, preparing for a wedding. And then I said, what's a bad stress? And they said, preparing for a wedding. So why is one person's good stress another person's bad stress? Well, what psychologists have found is the people with the least amount of stress actually talk to themselves differently in their head than the people with the most amount of stress. So part of this process in becoming happy is to change your self-talk. In other words, what you've been saying inside your head is a contributing factor of why you're stressed, anxious, angry, etc. So if an event happens and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. If I just change it, I can do this. I can do this. It changes everything. So the way this happiness thing works is like this. Cognitive psychology tells us, first I have a thought, then I have a feeling. I don't just feel sad. I don't just feel mad. I don't just feel anxious. First I had an angry thought, then an angry feeling. A mad thought, a mad feeling. A sad thought, a sad feeling. And it happens instantaneously. We don't have feelings in isolation. First we have a thought, then we have a feeling. What you're thinking right now affects the way you feel right now. You don't have to believe me. Close your eyes right now and think of a happy moment in your life. Just take a moment now, close your eyes, think of a happy moment in your life. And now open your eyes. And how do you feel right now? If you're like most people, you feel happy right now. You see, you had a happy thought, so you have a happy feeling. Now, the only time that this isn't the case is when we snuck in a little negation thought in between, like that will never happen again. And then that happy thought turns into a negative thought, and we stop feeling happy. So in cognitive psychology, first we have a thought, then we have a feeling. Now the problem is that a lot of people's thoughts are filled with distortions. In other words, they're thinking in a distorted way, a way not based in reality, and that perpetuates these feelings of feeling bad. Just positive thinking alone doesn't work. Why? Because it doesn't remove the negative, distorted thoughts that we have. We have to first become aware of the distorted thinking that we have so that we can change that, so that we can create what I call a cognitive shift, where all of a sudden you go from feeling sad, miserable, depressed, anxious, to feeling good and happy and motivated and enthusiastic in your life. And it happens very quickly. So once we get out of this pattern of negative thinking, it changes instantaneously. We're not talking about psychoanalysis. We're not going to go through your childhood and go through your whole growing up and your relationship with your parents and all of that. We can change instantly by changing the way we think about all those things instantly. And I'll explain that. What we say to ourselves about the event is more important than the event itself. What I say to myself about the event is more important than the event itself. I had a friend whose father died, and I went up to him, I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your loss." And he said, "Oh, it's a blessing." His father had been sick for a long time. He's a religious person. He believed his father's now in heaven. So he said, it's a blessing. I had another friend, their parent died, and they looked at me and they said, "I'll never be happy again." Now, first off, I don't believe they'll never be happy again. But same event happens. A parent dies. And what one person says turns it into a blessing. And what the other person says turns it into a thought that they'll never be happy again. It's not the event. It's what we say to ourselves about the event that affects how we feel and think about it. Our negative thoughts filter our reality in a negative way. It isn't just that I have a negative thought and now I feel bad. It filters how I see the world. And now I start seeing the world in a negative way. So when I'm depressed, I don't see the good things that are happening. I see all the negative things that are happening, and I focus on those. I go, see, I should be depressed. I'm just a realist. This is just the way things are. So we're going to take a moment here, and I'd like you to look at this cube. Now, most people, when they look at this cube, they see the red square in front and the cube facing off in this direction. But if you focus on the blue square and think that the red square is in the back, then you see that the cube is facing up in this direction. Now take a moment now and see if with your mind you can start switching the orientation of this cube. And if you're really good at it, see if you can start switching it back and forth and back and forth. Okay, now in reality, is this cube changing? No. But what we think in the back of our mind affects what we see, so it convinces us that those thoughts must be true. What we think in the back of our mind is filtering what we see, so we believe that those thoughts must be true because look, I'm seeing it, that's the way it is. By changing the words with which we think, we change the way we feel. So part of this process is just starting to change the words that you're thinking with. We call this labeling or categorizing. So if I say John's a jerk, maybe John did something one day to piss me off, and now John does 10 good things, but as soon as he does that one little thing, I'm like, there it is. John's a jerk. Or work or school sucks. You know, I had 10 good interactions at work. I was crushing it. Things are going good. Then we start talking. Somebody's like, oh, yeah, this is unfair. And then the other people are like, yeah, this is unfair. And then I'm like, yeah, work sucks. You know, school sucks. Oh, that teacher. Or am I labeling myself? I do 10 good things. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm the greatest person in the world. I'm a genius. I'm great. Then I do that one thing. I'm like, oh, I'm such an asshole. There it is. I'm an asshole. So I go from being king to asshole to king to asshole. And I'm going up and down with my mood. That's because we're labeling or we're categorizing things. We're using words in such a way that they're distorting our reality. See, John is a multifaceted human being, just like I am. Sometimes I am an asshole. Who isn't? But sometimes I'm clever, and sometimes I'm witty, and sometimes I'm even funny. And we all are such a mixture of all these different things. To reduce ourselves down to a single word is always an error. It's always a distortion. And when we think in these distorted ways, how am I going to feel? Remember, first I have a thought, then I have a feeling. If I think I'm an asshole, I feel like I'm an asshole. Doesn't feel good. Stop for a second now and see how you've been labeling yourself. And who told you you were that way? Was it somebody from your past? Do they deserve to be the arbiter of how you feel about yourself? Do they deserve to be the one who decides who you are or what you're really about? And sometimes when we look at the way we're labeling or categorizing ourselves, we find out it's ourselves, that we've been labeling ourselves in these negative ways for a very long time. So one of the barriers to happiness is how we've been labeling ourselves. Once we start to change that label, everything changes instantly. Right now, I'd like you to choose some new labels for yourself. Because at the end of this process, we're going to do some visualization. And I want you to start thinking about how you want to visualize yourself. What is the new you How do you want to start constructing yourself? How do you want to start creating yourself? Because you've been creating yourself all along. And now I'm telling you, you've been creating yourself all along. So you now know it. So now you're going to start having a heavy-handed approach in it. And you're going to start choosing how you want to create yourself moving forward. And part of that is understanding how you're going to reclassify yourself, how you're going to relabel yourself in this new positive way, so that when you fall back on who you are, it's how you're creating yourself. That's how you determine who you are. Another common distortion that a lot of us use, we call future telling. This is when we erroneously believe that we can tell the future, or we make up a future that doesn't exist in reality. So, for example, I start saying, well, then this is going to happen. And then if that happens, then this is going to happen. Then if that happens, this is going to happen. See, again, this is a perfectly good survival mechanism. It works to help us survive because we say, well, if this happens, then we can do this. And if that happens, we can do that. And it keeps us safe. The problem is when it starts working irrationally, we start creating these fake future events that are going to happen. And then when it gets really bad, we start catastrophizing. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be penniless. I'm going to go there. I'm going to have a panic attack, and everybody's going to think I'm crazy. None of that exists. We make up these made-believe scenarios in our head that don't exist. And then we start believing that's reality, when in fact, none of that's true. You have to come back to being here, now, in this moment. Because usually this moment is not so bad. We have to realize that nobody's perfect. We all screw up big time. And if you haven't already, don't worry, you will. I mean, hopefully you don't kill someone, but that happens too sometimes. We all screw up. We all make the big mistakes. We don't do it intentionally. We just screwed up. We know that when we see our friends that they aren't perfect. But yet often when we judge ourselves, we expect ourselves to be perfect. And we beat ourselves up when we're not. Just imagine for a second that you had a best friend. He looks just like you, acts just like you. Their life is just like yours. And they were going through the same things that you're going through now. Would you be as hard on them as you're being on yourself? Part of this is having self-kindness. In other words, being kind to yourself when we have a failure or painful thoughts, instead of harsh judgment and beating up on ourselves. Next, we have to remember, nobody's perfect. We don't expect our friends to be perfect, but we usually don't give ourselves the same break. So this is how cognitive therapy works. I have to first become aware when I have a negative feeling. I have to use my awareness and notice, I have this bad feeling. I'm either feeling sad or mad or angry or depressed or anxious, whatever it is. Then I have to locate the thought that gave me that feeling. Now, sometimes a thought will pop into our head and pop out, and we just feel this way and we aren't sure, what was I thinking? So sometimes this entails us actually feeling the uncomfortable feeling. And by feeling the uncomfortable feeling, it will lead us to the thought that created it. Now, once I see what the thought is that's creating this negative feeling, I see, how am I distorting reality? Am I catastrophizing? Am I telling the future in a negative way? Am I labeling someone? Or am I personalizing something and taking the blame for something that really isn't my fault? Or any other wacky way that I'm distorting this thought. And then I replace it with a new thought. I add a new thought in there. I talk to myself in a different way. I can handle this. This isn't the end of the world. I've suffered worse things than this. This is only as bad as I make it. When we start substituting more positive thoughts, we change the way we feel instantly. The single biggest determinant in happiness is being in the present moment. They did a study where they put an app on people's phones. And when it went off, they had to say whether they were thinking about the past or the future or if they were here now. And what they found was even if someone was stuck in traffic, but they were here now in the moment, they would tend to rate their mood higher than if they were thinking about the future or the past. Mindfulness means being here now, in this moment. Right now, are you with me? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Or are you thinking about the past or the future or some other thing is just looping around in your head? Mindfulness means you're coming here to this moment. You're bringing your awareness to this moment right now. See, you have to understand that happiness is a discrete, moment by moment experience. By discrete, I mean time sensitive. So in other words, there's now, and now there's now, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now. It's about being in this moment, this now, not the last now, this now, right now. About 30 some odd years ago, I worked in a psychiatric ward, and there was a gentleman who had been admitted for depression. And I was sitting with him in the television room, and he was watching a comedy, and he's laughing. I mean, it wasn't like, ha, ha, ha. He's laughing uproariously. And I turn to him, I go, how do you feel? And he looks at me, takes a beat, and he goes, depressed. Do you see? He wasn't here now in this moment. In this moment, he's laughing uproariously. He's not depressed. He's happy. But as soon as he went back to his categorization of himself, how he knew himself was, I'm depressed. So he goes back to that belief on himself. And can you imagine how he felt as soon as he turned to me and went, depressed? I bet he felt depressed because he believed he was depressed. Do you get it? Happiness, sadness, it isn't just like we're depressed or we're mad or we're angry. It's in this moment we're depressed. In this moment we're sad. In this moment we're happy. And when we allow it not to become this overarching categorization of ourselves, when we allow to see ourselves that in this moment I feel this way right now, then we start getting rid of our depression. Then we start getting rid of our anxiety. Is it starting to make sense now? So the next thing I want you to understand is through visualization that we put together neuro connections as if they're real experiences. Our mind doesn't make a distinction between a visualization and a real experience. We can simulate experiences in our mind all the time, and we do that. A lot of times in a negative way. As I was saying before, we create these negative futures that never really are going to happen, and we start focusing in on those and reinforcing those and start believing those. So we start wiring ourselves in those negative ways. But if we start visualizing ourselves the way we want to be, having the mood we want to have, interacting with people the way we want to interact with them, feeling the way we want to feel, then we start putting those neural networks together. And by putting them together and immersing ourselves into this over and over and over again, we start carrying it with us for longer and longer. And then all of a sudden we are that way. You've heard fake it till you make it. Well, there's a very real neurological phenomenon that happens when we do that. When we fake it long enough, then we're not faking it anymore. We are that way because we've created those neural network connections. So if we want to change the way we are, first we have to relax. We got to get into a nice deep state of relaxation. And then we have to start visualizing ourselves the way we want to be. Just seeing ourselves. And the more sensations that you can bring to it, the more you can feel it, the more neurons you're connecting together, the more you're creating yourself the way you want to be. So we're going to do a thing now called progressive relaxation. And we just want to make sure that you're in a safe place right now, that if you need to set an alarm in case you fall asleep, that you're taking care of all of that. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to go through a process where you're going to relax your whole body. And I'm going to talk you through this. And we're going to add some visualization. And it's important that we add certain metaphors and visualization. You have to understand, we have two hemispheres in our brain. One hemisphere is a verbal hemisphere. The other one doesn't think in words. So we start using images. So I'm going to use some images, and we're going to go through your whole body, relaxing it, and we're going to wash out any of the stress and wash out any depression, and we're going to bring this positive energy in, and I'm going to say a few positive affirmations, and then I'm going to turn this exercise over to you, where you're going to see yourself the way you want to be, not the way I want you to be, the way you want to be. And you're going to visualize it the way you want to interact, the way you want to feel. And we're going to just have you visualize bringing this all the way through your body, really grounding this feeling inside your body. And then we're going to end, and that's going to be the end of this session. If you want, you can just gently close your eyes and just start to relax. This is your time. This is time for you to just focus on yourself. So start now by just scanning your body. Just become aware of any sensations or feelings that are going on inside your body. You don't have to do anything with them. You're just becoming aware. And now scan your body again, and this time become aware of the gravity that's holding you down. So in other words, you don't have to hold on to anything. Gravity will hold you down. So just let go. And see if you can let go some more. Now see if you can let go some more. And now really, just let go. We're just going to enter into a state of flow where we're just going with the flow, nice and loose and natural. And now see if you can let go some more, and let go some more, and now really just let go. Start now by placing your awareness on your toes. Just feel your toes, the bottom of your toes, the tips of your toes, the toenails, the space in between your toes, And see if you can just allow your toes to relax. Now relaxing the ball of your foot, the arch of your foot, the heel, all the veins, all the nerves, all the tendons. And just see if you can allow your feet to relax, just letting them go. And then relaxing the ankles and the shins and those bones on the sides of the ankle. And just letting your feet go with the flow. Nice and loose and natural. And now place your awareness on your lower leg, on the calf, and just feel the weight of the calf. You don't need to hold on to it at all, you're just letting it go. And all the veins and the nerves and the tendons, all the arteries and the capillaries, the bone marrow, and just letting your lower legs relax, just going with the flow, just letting them go. And now place your awareness on the kneecap. You don't need to hold anything. The kneecap will stay there all by itself. So just let the kneecap relax, let go. And the space underneath the kneecap and the opposite side of the leg. We're just letting the whole lower leg release, relax, and just go with the flow. And now, place your awareness on your upper leg, that big muscle that wraps around your upper leg. All the veins and the nerves and the tendons, all the arteries and the capillaries, the muscle fiber, the muscle tissue, the bone marrow, and just allowing your legs to relax, just going with the flow, nice and loose and natural. And now place your awareness on the very base of your spine, that very first vertebrae, and the disc that sits on top of it, and the next vertebrae, and the next disc, and the next vertebrae, and the next disc, and just letting your spine release, let go, just allowing gravity to hold it, and just releasing and letting go of our spine, and letting it go some more, and letting it go some more. And now really letting it go. And as your spine relaxes, all the nerves going to all the different organs allows those organs to relax. So letting go of the intestines, just feeling the muscles straighten out and let go and release. And relaxing the stomach, the sides of the stomach, the top and bottom of the stomach, the front and back of the stomach, the very center of the stomach, and just allowing your stomach to relax, just letting it go. And letting it go some more, and really letting it go. And letting go of your kidneys, and letting letting go of your liver and all your organs, the spleen, the gallbladder, just releasing them. Just allowing them to go with the flow, nice and loose and natural. And relaxing the rib cage and all the muscles on the ribs and all the bones on the ribs and the bone marrow inside the ribs. And just allowing the rib cage to relax. And relaxing your heart and your lungs. And relaxing your shoulder blades and your shoulders. And just going down the biceps and the triceps and all the veins and nerves and tendons. All the arteries and the capillaries, the bone marrow, just flowing down the elbow, just flowing down the forearm, through the wrist. Maybe you feel it in the veins in the back of your hands, in the palms of your hands, in the knuckles, in the fingers, and the thumbs, and just allowing your hands to relax. Just letting them go, and letting them go some more, and letting them go some more. And now relaxing your neck. Just feel the weight of your head, and just allow your neck to let it go. Relaxing the bones in the back of your neck. Relaxing your throat, those big muscles on the sides of your neck. Those big arteries, just allowing them to dilate and expand, so the blood ever so gently just flows over your head and face, just allowing you to allow that to relax. And relaxing the jaw and the gums and the teeth and the nerves inside the teeth, and the tongue and the muscles underneath the tongue, and the roof of the mouth and the back of the throat, and just allowing your lips to relax, and that space above your upper lip, and just relaxing your nose and the cartilage in your nose and your nostrils, and going back ever so gently into your sinuses, and allowing your sinuses to relax, so the air ever so gently is going in and out, just going with the flow, nice and loose and natural. And now relaxing the eyelids and the eyelashes and the muscles that hold the eyelashes, and the eyeball and all the veins and nerves and tendons in the eyeball. Just allowing the eyeball to relax. Relaxing the eyebrow and the forehead and the top of the head and the hair on the top of the head and the muscles that hold the hair on the top of the head and the back of the head and the ears and the inner ears and the nerves in the inner ears, and just letting your head and face relax. And now scan your body again and see if there's any place I missed, and just go to that place and just let it relax and release and just go with the flow, nice and loose and natural. And now, using your creative imagination, Imagine you have a hose, and it's a very powerful hose. It's like a fireman's hose. And this is a magic hose that sprays out any stress or any tension or any depression or any negative thoughts or feelings whatsoever. And when you spray them out, they can leave through your eyes or your nose or your mouth. They can leave through your ears or your fingertips or your toes. They can leave through any pore or any orifice in your body. So you're going to start with your head and you're just spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying behind the forehead, just spraying it out. Spraying inside the head, the roof of the head, just spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying it all the way out. Spraying out the back of the head, just spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying out behind the eyes and behind the face, just spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying it all the way out. Spraying out the jaw and the teeth, the back of the throat. Spraying out the back of the head, just spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying it all the way out. And where the skull connects to the neck, just spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying it out, and then spraying down the bones in the back of the neck, just spraying it out, just spraying it out, spraying out the muscles on the sides of the neck, just spraying it out, spraying it out, just spraying out the throat, just spraying it out, spraying it out, shoulder to shoulder, spraying it out, spraying it out. Spraying it all the way out, spraying it down the arms, down the biceps and the triceps, spraying it down to the elbow, spraying it down the forearm, spraying it out, spraying it down to the wrist, spraying it out, and spraying it right out the fingertips, just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out, and now spraying down from the skull, the whole spine, from top to bottom, just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out. And just let your spine go and let it go some more and let it relax some more and just let it go and let it go and let it go. Just spraying it all the way out. And now spraying out the chest, just spraying it out, spraying it out. And really get the heart good. Any past heartache or pain or discomfort or any stress or tension that you're holding in your chest, just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying out the sides of the heart, spraying it out, spraying it out, the front and back of the heart, spraying it out, spraying it out, the top and bottom of the heart, spraying it out, spraying it out. In the very center of the heart, just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out. Now spraying out the lungs, just spraying them out, spraying them out. And all those organs, the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, spraying them out, spraying them out, spraying them all the way out. Getting the spleen, spraying it out. Getting the sides of the stomach, spraying it out. Spraying it out. The front and back of the stomach, spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying it all the way out. The top and bottom of the stomach, spraying it out. Spraying it out. Spraying it all the way out. Go to the very center of the stomach. Any stress or tension that you've been holding in your stomach, you're just spraying it out. Spraying it out and let it leave. And let it leave some more. Now really let it leave your body, just spraying it out. Now the whole torso, front and back, spraying it out. Spraying it out. The sides, spraying it out. Spraying it out. the very base of the torso, front and back and bottom, spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out, just letting it leave your body, leave, and leave some more. And then spraying down the legs to the knees, just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out. And then from the knees to the ankles, just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out. And now the ankles all the way through the heel, through the arch, and right out the toes, just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out. And any negative feelings or stress or tension, just feel it disappear. It's just leaving your body and leaving some more. And now you're really letting it go and just letting it leave and leave. And scan your body again and see if there's any block anywhere in your body, and go right to that block and just let it dissolve and break up and particleize and get smaller and smaller and smaller. And now spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out. And now scan your body and see if there's any place I've missed. And just spraying it out, spraying it out, spraying it all the way out. And just let it go and let it go some more. And now really let it go. And now scan your body again and see if there's any hint or echo or shadow of anything that's not comfortable. And imagine you can send a beautiful beam of sunlight right to that place. And like a piece of butter in a warm pan, just melts away and melts away. And it just runs right out of your body. You're just releasing it. Just letting it run right out of your body. That's it. And let it go some more. And now really let it go. And now, using your creative imagination, just imagine yourself being calm and relaxed, able to just go with the flow, nice and loose and natural. And just see yourself being fearless. Any fear you had, it's being replaced by courage, a nice feeling of brave. It's not an aggressive courage. It's a relaxed, calm courage that you know who you are and what you bring to the world. And you can just relax into being yourself. If you want, see yourself as being whole, complete, nothing missing. See yourself being comfortable with yourself, being happy with yourself. And now I'd like you to take over this exercise. I want you to start visualizing yourself having the mood that you want to have. Not the mood I want you to have, not the mood anyone else wants you to have. This is your time to take complete control of this exercise. So see yourself having the mood that you want to have. See yourself having the thoughts that you want to have. See yourself interacting with people the way you want to interact with them. See yourself in any situation that you want, being exactly the way that you want to be. And because these are your thoughts, and they should only be your thoughts now, you can accept them completely without any consideration or any reservations. You can allow them to go deeper. And if you want, you can allow them to go from your mind all the way into your body. Just feel them traveling down your body, down your spine, just opening up your heart and your stomach, just flowing down your fingertips and your toes. And just imagine they're just opening you up to being exactly the way that you want to be. And if you want, see if you can just relax into that. And then see if you can just relax into that some more. And now really let go. And let go some more and some more and some more. And really let go. And let go some more and some more and some more. And see if you can just let go into this feeling. And if you've been visualizing yourself outside of yourself, see this image of yourself become closer and closer and closer and closer until you are this image. In other words, there's no dichotomy between your chosen self and your authentic self. You're exactly the way you want to be. And you can just relax into that. And you can just let go into that. And you can just let go some more and some more and some more. If there's anything you want to adjust in this exercise, adjust it now so it fits perfectly for you. And then relax into it some more. And let go into it some more. If there's anything you want to keep from this exercise, you can just breathe it in. If there's anything that doesn't fit, just let it go with your breath. Not holding on to anything you don't want to. And again, breathing in the positive. And anything that you don't want, just let it go. And let it go some more. And now really let it go. And when you're ready, you can slowly come back to the room. You can slowly open your eyes. You can get ready to take on the day.